The domino that many people thought could be the first big domino to fall at this trade deadline has now officially come to pass as the Golden State Warriors are acquiring Jimmy Butler in a package that is built around Andre Drummond, a first-round pick, and more. We're going to talk about it all and more, but you know what we got to do first, though? Got to play that intro.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, we got breaking news coming down. Jimmy Butler was just traded to the Golden State Warriors in exchange for Andrew Wiggins, Dennis Schroeder, Kyle Anderson, and a protected first-round pick. This is a rumor deal that has been kind of going around that the Golden State Warriors went from being in on Jimmy Butler to out on Jimmy Butler. They wanted to pursue Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant said he didn't want to go back to Golden State. They were initially in talks with Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic, and they've now settled on getting Jimmy Butler in the building to help add to their team and to try to figure out if they can just do something that's going to help them try to make something of Steph Curry in his final years as far as being a productive player. Now, Jimmy Butler still can become a free agent at the end of the year, and that has to be something that the Golden State Warriors have to be willing to take the risk on with now trading for Jimmy Butler officially. But this is a move that I don't really know. Listen, Jimmy Butler can still be a productive player. Jimmy Butler is still a dog, make no mistake about it, right? But with that said, it still is some questions on, can Jimmy Butler do enough to really help this Golden State Warriors team win? And I have my personal doubts on it, right? Not to say that he's not going to come in and help the team. That's definitely going to be the case. Like, Jimmy Butler is the type of player that he's going to help any team that he goes to. He's still a productive player in that sense and good enough to do that. But the question that I have here more so than what Jimmy is going to be able to do, what the team is going to be able to do overall, right? Like, does this really – and you guys let me know how you guys feel. Do you feel like this really changes much for the Golden State Warriors? Like, not to say that, again, I don't want to make it seem like this is a complete nothing deal, because that wouldn't be fair either. But I just don't look at this as being something that's like, all right, like, it's a huge change to what's going to happen here. What first-round pick 2025? It has not been released which first-round pick it is as of yet. Oh, this just came in as well. This is actually going to be a 3-team trade with Lindy Waters and Josh Richardson going to the Detroit Pistons as well. So the Detroit Pistons do what many people thought they were going to do coming into this season, and using their cap space to absorb some bad salary. So that's what it comes down there, man. This is a very, very interesting. Can rule out the Warriors trading for Vooch now? I wouldn't say necessarily. Keep in mind, the Golden State Warriors did this with still keeping a few of their players that could be on the move. Now, I don't think that they will make a move for Jimmy Butler in that case. I just don't think it's going to be something like that. That would be acquiring $70 million of salary, trading for that over a single trade deadline. So I don't think that that's going to be a possibility. But I'll say this: the Golden State Warriors are still in play with some of the contracts that they still have if they do want to become players in other ways. So that's something to kind of look out for there as well. Now, I'm not saying that that's likely. I haven't read that anywhere. We don't know exactly what the Golden State Warriors are going to be trying to do between now and the end of the trade deadline tomorrow, but they at least get Jimmy Butler in the building. They add him and his two-way play, even though Jimmy Butler's starting to slide a little bit. I think that's a fair thing to say with Jimmy Butler's age, is that you can tell he's starting to slide. He doesn't necessarily have the defensive intensity that he has. He's not as switchable as he was at some points in his career, but I'm not going to act like Jimmy Butler still isn't a productive player in this league, because he is, and he's probably going to continue to be a productive player in this league. I'm just saying that it is something to look out for the Miami Heat, was they try to figure out what the next phase of that team's going to be. So, but overall, I'll say it's still a great deal. Yep, there's that Detroit cap space move. Yep. So, I mean, really the only things that are left at this trade deadline tomorrow, between now and the official trade deadline, is what is Portland going to do with all their players that reportedly teams have interest in and they want to move, right? That's a question here. What is Brooklyn going to do with their players as they still look to try to increase their chances at the number one overall pick? Those are some questions here, but a lot of the big chips is falling now, right? Now, Phoenix. That's another one. What do they do with Kevin Durant now that the Golden State Warriors, which is a team that was reportedly interested, they're clearly out now after this move as well. But we'll see. We shall see. This has been a fun and interesting trade deadline, to say the least, man. Highlighted by what happened with Luka, was completely unexpected and caught a lot of people off guard. But hey, man, Steve Kerr versus Jimmy Butler is about to be epic, man. Jimmy was like, F Golden State, proceeds to Golden State. I mean, and that's what you got. And that's sometimes what you have to do is you have to pull people's cards, right? Like, yeah, he said that he didn't want to go to Golden State, but like eventually you run out of options and you just got to do something, right? And if Jimmy didn't want to be in Miami, he was going to have to eventually choose something. And that choice now is him going to the Golden State Warriors. So, and this is a team that it makes some sense for Jimmy. We'll see what happens with Jimmy as far as long term, right? That's always a question. But this team does make some sense for Jimmy Butler. They're a veteran-laden team. They need the defensive impact that he can bring, right? You think that him playing off ball with Steph Curry can be major as well, right? So this is a team that always kind of always made some sense for Jimmy. Now they just got to figure out how to make it work. They got the coach down there in Steve Kerr, who's probably he's gonna be really invested in making sure this works, and he does everything that he can to make this work as well. But I will say this: it makes the Golden State Warriors better on paper. But we've seen moves that on paper look good that don't always work out the way that the teams were hoping that they were going to work out. And that's what the Golden State Warriors have to really figure out here next, is how to make this all work as far as in the sense of a team, right? You got to figure that part out. And that's where you start running into some of the questions at. But again, like I said, we'll see. Hopefully they can figure this thing out. That's what the Golden State Warriors are happening. And I'm sure that's what their fan base is hoping for as well. So we'll see what happens there. But thank you guys for tuning in, man. I wanted to bring this breaking news down to you guys. This is crazy. But I got to get back to my Bulls game. Love you guys. Make sure you guys are following us at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, of course, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799, or the number one spot for everything NBA and basketball related. And I'll see you guys on the next one.